Welcome to the online classes Environmental Pollution Part 6. Today's topic for the discussion is e-waste management. First of all, what is e-waste? E-waste, other name for the e-waste is electronic waste. So all the used electronic gadgets no more it cannot be used. Such type of materials we call it as a e-waste. Computers, laptops, stereos, refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machines, all the programmable electronic gadgets which cannot be used anymore, such type of materials collectively called as a e-waste. So the e-waste as such, it is not hazardous, but the components present in this and processing of the e-waste is dangerous. So here, is e-waste is hazardous? E-waste is not hazardous waste. However, the hazardous constituents present in the e-waste render it hazardous when such waste are dismantled and processed in an unscientific way. See the components present in it. For example, you take a laptop. So the laptop is having a several material like the outer casing is a plastic, a polymer, and it has a battery. It can be lithium battery, nickel cadmium battery, something like that. And also it has a motherboard. Motherboard is having some valuable metals in it. So the dismantling and processing will render it hazardous. As such, electronic gadgets like used cell phones, used pagers, used stereos, used cell phones, all such things, if you're simply throwing, it will not cause a environmental pollution, but the dismantling and processing of this in an unscientific way will have a bad impact on the environment. That's what we need to study for today. So the characteristics of the e-waste. So e-waste meaning, so the electronic gadgets like computer, laptop, mobile phone, pager, etc. Once its life is over, it can't be thrown as such. So partly it is hazardous. That means the components present in it, like making the soldering lead is used and mercury is used and cadmium will be there in some of the components, and all such things will impose a problem while burning. If simply unskilled way of melting the heating it, that time the plastics which are present in that electronic gadgets, so it will uh, emit a dangerous poisonous gases like dioxins. Dioxins are dangerous and they are carcinogenic in nature. So if the electronic components or electronic gadgets are handled in an unscientific way, then it becomes a partly hazardous. But there are some substances present in it, like a PCB printed circuit board, a connectors, a motherboard, which can be recycled. So that is why it is called as a partly valuable. These are the two characteristics of the e-waste. It is partly hazardous and it is partly valuable. Partly hazardous meaning, so it is unscientific way of handling the electronic gadgets, and partly valuable means the circuit board and connectors, motherboard, they all have a valuable metals in it. It can be recycled and reused. That's why it is partly valuable in nature. And initial slide we understood that electronic gadgets as such they are not hazardous to the environment, but the components which are present in it will render hazardous to the environment. So here are a list of the components and its constituents. If you consider a printed circuit board or electronic industry, it will be manufactured and it is used in electronic gadgets. Without that, the electronic gadget will not function at all. So the printed circuit board will be having a lead and cadmium. For soldering purpose, the lead will be used, cadmium is used, and cathode ray tubes, CRT, that is in a televisions, the cathode ray tubes were used, and it is having the lead oxide and cadmium. The cathode ray tubes will have lead oxide and cadmium. These are considered as the heavy metals, and if it is disposed as such, it will end up with the biomagnification. That means if it enters the water body or a soil, when the plant is absorbing the nutrients, and it will be stored in the food, that is fruits, vegetables, etc. If a person we are consuming this type of food, means it will end up with the biomagnification. Then the switches, flat screen monitor, it is having a small portion of mercury in it. Already we have studied the impact of mercury on a human health. It will affect the central nervous system itself, and a person will become uh, deaf and dumb. So such problems will occur. And computer batteries, there are different types of batteries like nickel cadmium battery, nickel metal hydride battery, and lead acid battery. Like that, it can't be discarded as such. So in the electronic gadgets, normally are olden days, not now. Some 10 years ago, nickel cadmium batteries are widely used. Moving on to the next one, capacitors and transformers. These capacitors and transformers, the outer case is made up of a polychlorinated biphenyls. So when it is processed in an unskilled way, by heating or burning, dioxane difuran gases will be emitted from this, and if you are inhaling that, it becomes it causes cancer, carcinogenic in nature. Coming to the printed circuit board and plastic casing cables, and a brominated flame retardant. So brominated flame retardant are coated on the printed circuit board and plastic casing cables because it should not lead to any fire accidents. So to avoid the fire accident, the printed circuit board and plastic casing cables are coated with a brominated flame retardant. When it is burnt, what happens? A brown color bromine gas will be evolved, and inhaling such type of gases will cause the bronchitis or a lung cancer for a long time if it is inhaled. Cable insulation and cable coating. For this again a polyvinyl chloride is used, and it is carcinogenic. Burning of the PVC and inhaling the gases released during burning of the PVC, it is carcinogenic in nature. Also it is non-biodegradable, it will not undergo degradation. So these are some of the components and the constituents, and that is why all the electronic waste should be dismantled in a scientific way and processed in a scientific way. If it is done unscientifically by unskilled personnel, then it will have a bad impact on the environment as well as on the health of the humans. So this is just an information, not a part of your syllabus. This is how the unskilled person is doing. These are the electronic gadgets. He is dismantling it and separating all the components of this. Later what he does is, he'll dump everything in he will dump everything in this drum, and then he will melt it by using some acids. Acids will be added and it will be heated. When it is heated, the plastic will melt and difuran and dioxane gases will be evolved, and by inhaling, so they will be suffering from the cancer, and the lifespan of these people will be decreasing. So this is one of the problems. This is a scenario of the unskilled personnel, how they are recycling the materials. Here again, what are the health hazards of the e-waste? And the previous slide I told. See in the here, this is called as a dismantling in an unscientific way. So if it is unscientifically done, means the soldering. So solters contains a lead, and it damages the central nervous system and kidney malfunctioning, and the brain of the children will not develop properly. Those are the problems of the soldering. And relays, switches, printed circuit board. So these are the ill effect of the components of the e-waste if it is not processed in a proper way. The mercury present in it will lead to the brain damage or brain hemorrhage, and respiratory tract infection and skin diseases. And corrosion protectors like hexavalent chromium. Chromium, it is used as a corrosion resistant material in the automobile industry and in some of the electronic gadget as a coating, and that will cause the bronchitis and it damages the DNA. And cabling and computer housing, it's having a plastic casing. So when it is burned, dioxin and difuran gases will be released. If you are inhaling, it will reduce the reproduction, and it destructs the immune system. The lifespan of a person will decrease, and imbalance in the hormones, and sometimes it is carcinogenic too. So then how to dispose this? What are the best way to dispose means? So we should not simply throw it into the garbage and simply we should not burn it. We have to follow the steps. Here reuse. Whichever substances which can be reused, like the plastic material can be, the outer casing can be reused, the cable wire can be reused and it can be recycled. Reusable substances can be reused, and there are the metals can be recycled. The metals can be recycled, and after that only, after handling it in a scientific way, it contains substances which cannot be used anymore. Such things should be dumped into the landfill and incineration for the energy production. So energy from the waste. So finally it will be sent to this. It has certain steps we will see in the next slide here. Yeah. So this is the e-waste. The step one is the dismantling and sorting. So after dismantling and sorting means the reusable parts are separated and hazardous substances are separated. After doing that, it should be subjected to shredding and grinding. That is decreasing the size of the particles. And after that, it will put into the vibrating screens. So when this is vibrating, the lightweight materials will be coming to the top, and all the heavy materials will be coming to the bottom. That means all the plastic sort of things come to the top, that can be segregated, and the bottom one will be having a metal pieces. By using a different mesh sieves, it can be segregated. Once the metals are segregated, again the metals means different types of metals will be there. Ferrous and non-ferrous metals will be used in making these electronic gadgets. All the ferrous substances, if it is present in the electronic gadgets, that can be attracted by the magnet. Hence, a magnetic separation can be performed to collect the ferrous metals. The left out one is called as the eddy current metals, such as non-ferrous metals like copper and aluminium. Later on that it is density separation, but still if it is having any plastic material, that can be segregated. And after doing all these things, the left out one we are sending it to the landfill and the incinerators. So the e-waste, first of all, whichever substances that can be reused can be segregated, recycling substances can be segregated, and then the last part which can't be used for any other purpose, such things will be sent to the landfill site, and some materials of that for the energy production. This is the landfill site, and energy production means incinerator we have to send. So all the reuse we understood under the solid waste, same answer can be written. Recycle, same answer can be written. And landfill also we understood. What is incineration means? It is a waste treatment technology which includes the combustion of the waste for recovering energy. It is called as incineration. During this process of incineration, the waste material that is treated is converted into gases, particles and heat. These products are later used for the generation of electricity. That means all the left out waste from the electronic waste will be dumped into the incinerator, and it is burnt subjected to the combustion. All the combustible substances undergoes combustion, releases a heat energy. That heat energy will be used to convert the liquid water into the steam, and the steam is run on the turbines and electricity can be produced. But all these incinerators will be provided with a very long smokestack, as long as 30 meters above the incinerator, so that the poisonous gases produced here like dioxins, furans, will not reach the ground level. It will enter into the upper atmosphere. Hence the air in this area will be pure. So that is called as the incineration process. See here, the flue gases, all poisonous gases can be removed from the incinerator by attaching the smokestack to the incinerator. This process is called as incineration. It is a way of producing energy from the waste. So that's about the e-waste, and the rest of the things we will discuss in the next class. I'll stop now, students.